Hello, 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 and welcome in to Beyond the Den by Bear Claw Media, presented by Crave Hot Dogs and Barbecue in Greeley, Colorado, offering specialty all-beef hot dogs, savory barbecue and sides, plus self-pour beer wall. It's a perfect setting for family outings or a night with friends. Stop by and hashtag beat the craving today. Ben, how you doing? We're getting a little taste of football right now, inside baseball. If you listen to the bear with us for this week, you'll know we were recording this on Saturday morning. So we're kind of smack dab in the middle of week 0 right now, but we don't have any real Big Sky or FCS updates other than Nichols with an early lead on Incarnate Word. But we're really going to be into it next week, Ben. We're going to be in week 1, have a full slate of games. So without further ado, how you doing, buddy?
Good, buddy. Excited for college football to be back. We would have those results, but I am the pain in the ass. Calypso Cove, after 40 years at Waterworld, is closing down at the end of the season. So, as a family tradition, we must get little guy to go see it, even if he can't do shit. So, we'll see how
Your
that goes.
wife and kid are really becoming a hindrance on recording this podcast, Ben.
It's like sponsored, but like still, that whole like marriage thing. Like, oh boy, no. Love that we can get into Waterworld. Didn't think it was going to happen this season. Also Cabana, so that'll be fun. Doing the bougie life, but more importantly, college football. We have a big slate next week. Everybody's playing games. While we are in the non-con realm of things, we get tons of Big Sky action across the country, across almost the world. But we'll eventually have an FCS game out of the country, but not this year. Looking at it for us, we already talked about Chadron State in Northern Colorado. We picked that one. Now looking across the other games that we have, wow, there is some slobber knocker of opponents for the Big Sky.
But
Starting
only
off,
one. There are a bunch of like big opponents, but probably only one game that's actually going to be, maybe two that'll really be competitive. I imagine you're probably seeing it the same way. I think we're going to have a lot of blowouts here in week 1, but as will be the case throughout probably at least half the weeks of the year, maybe not quite, but there's a Big Sky team involved in the biggest matchup of the week, as there is this week with UC Davis Mercer. So Ben, yeah, no lines are out yet because we're recording a little early this week. Not even like the Reddit lines that come out early. But let's start off top with Montana State heading to Eugene, Oregon to take on the defending Big Sky regular season champion Oregon Ducks.
yeah, it caught me right on a drink. That was fantastic. Bob Kitty's pray. Just pray, brothers. Need you guys to
I
be
think the Bob Kitties are prey.
well.
I
They
think
are.
is going to be more accurate.
The Ducks will be eating bobcats for the first time in their life. But legitimately, like, you guys need to stay healthy if you want to take the conference. Try to show out, try to make some highlight plays since you're going to be on the Big Ten network and whatnot. But more importantly, make it out alive. Like, sure, if you can slay the dragon, that would be monumental. But I think we can attest Montana State is more of a strength and endurance team, and Oregon is a bunch of track stars that are also great football athletes. So I don't think there's any questions there. I think Oregon, it's just by how much. I'm gonna say Oregon's pissed off and they're gonna be flaunting their freshmen and probably by 20 or so.
Yeah, I obviously agree Oregon's going to win. I think Montana State could keep it close. Idaho, I was never really sold on Idaho last year, and I think what was it, a 17-14 game, like within the fourth quarter. I don't know what that one ended at, but they put up a good showing. I think Montana State will do the same. Just the culture's there. It sucks because Montana State's built to just be tougher than most teams they play, and they're probably not going to be, even though Oregon's known more as a finesse, like high flying team. They're still just the dogs they have on the line. That's why they've been able to compete so well nationally over the past, really, since Chip Kelly was there. But I'm with you. Oregon, I don't think I have like 20, but I think Oregon wins comfortably. But I bet at halftime you look up and Montana State's closer than Oregon would like. I think it'll be one of those games. So moving, I guess, across the country to Harrisonburg, Virginia. Weber State is taking on former FCS power James Madison. Duke's having a good FBS run in their couple years, even with Signetti gone. I've seen a couple people pick them as the group of 5 representative in this year's playoff. So what do you think, Weber heading across? Also, just a weird game. Why the hell is Weber going from Ogden, Utah, all the way to Virginia? There are no less than 50 FCS programs that are closer to James Madison. So this just feels weird, but what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think this one was probably scheduled along the heels of their pretty epic playoff battles that they had between each other. So they did have some really sick games. Excuse me, when they were in the
Gross.
FCS, but now that it's in FBS versus FCS country, it's not much of a game. It's a payday, but like it's a payday with a lot of travel. Like really, guys, like could be a whole lot easier. You could just play Utah. You could have a winnable game, play Utah State, but no, those guys are all busy and they don't want the in-state competition, I guess. So James Madison by however much they want.
Yeah, I'm probably not quite as sold that it's going to be just an absolute blowout, but yeah, I don't think James Madison's going to have to sweat too much. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I do think it's going to be an absolute blowout. I'm not that sold on Weber. I think the Dukes will come in, take care of business. Nice warm up for them. And honestly, not much else that I really have to say on that one. This one is a little bit more interesting, but likely ultimately, I think we probably know how this one's going to go. We have Eastern Washington heading down to San Antonio to play Incarnate Word. Um, Incarnate Word may be coming on the heels of a an upset loss here this weekend, or they may be coming in 1-0. But either way, I think we need to get moving through these Big Sky games. If that person off camera is any indication. So who do you got? Iwu at Incarnate Word.
Ooh, this would have been so epic a couple years ago. Like this really is like the nostalgia like schedule that just it was made in good heart and good faith, but like it's just not hitting now. Incarnate Word playoff team, top 10 team to a lot of different people. I don't see that changing. Also, fun fact, we're the only home team this week for the entire Big Sky. So
That's weird.
yeah, we are literally the only team that is home. Everyone else is on the road. So that's kind of fun that we're defending the turf for literally the only home record that could be won or lost this week. So I think that'll be more interesting than Incarnate Word Eastern.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm with you. I think Incarnate Word, if you listen to anything over the off season, I'm very low on Eastern Washington. So I think Incarnate Word also um
Jared
just kind
Taylor is
of
interesting, but like I just don't think so much talent left. Like Efton Chisholm is now potentially a Patriots fourth string or fourth receiver. Like it, you lost too much. It's just is what it is.
another fairly interesting one here. It looks like Cal Poly is heading to San Diego. I think these two teams have split over the last 2 years. San Diego won last year. I think Cal Poly actually won the year before. But who do you got? This one's always a fun one, a rivalry game. Cal Poly kind of bottom feeder of the Big Sky recently, and then San Diego, a fun non-scholarship Pioneer League team.
I know it's a down year for San Diego, but like a down year for them is still better than Cal Poly's best year, at least in recent
Recently,
trends.
okay.
So it's like it's tough. It's like a Big Sky team that's finally finding themselves, but still hovering around the bottom, versus a Pioneer team that floats. Pioneer League can literally one win can decide 4 different spots for you. So a top half Pioneer League team. I hate to say it, I'm leaning San Diego mostly because of the home venue. I think it'll be a close game, but I just feel like San Diego is as much of a weird situation as they are, have a probably more chemistry built team than Cal Poly. I feel like the identity is just not quite there, even though they're becoming a good football program.
See, I think this year feels like a year Cal Poly will turn at least a bit of a corner. Because they finally got to a point where they were making games competitive last year, which hadn't been the case. And I think they're on the right path. I'll take Cal Poly in this one because I think they're due for more improvement, and this is an early winnable game that it'll be a gold letter game if this was a Harbaugh Ed Lamb San Diego Cal Poly matchup. But let's move on to one that I will tell you both of our picks. It is going to be BYU beating Portland State next week, right? Isn't it, Ben? Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, not even being a hater, it's just like at least they chose regional, so they chose better than Weber did. So less travel expense, more money in the pocket.
Another one that's fairly interesting. Idaho State heading to Southern Utah. This is a Big Sky preview of some matchups to come down the road once Southern Utah joins the conference. I think this one's interesting to me. I'm leaning one way, but I want to hear what you have to say before I pick, so I can reserve my wishy washiness.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sold on either way for this one. Idaho State, yeah, they're not great, but Southern Utah, like, I can't remember if they just missed the playoffs last year. Uh,
Yeah, they
but
were competitive.
but they were fairly interesting, fairly competitive. I mean, they lost by 3 to Abilene Christian. Surely they didn't really do a whole lot everywhere else, but there's a lot of close games. They did lose to Idaho State at Idaho State last year by 10 points, but just thinking of how well they performed against Tarleton, even losing 1 point to a number 14 team, I hate to say it, I feel like Idaho State is on a good trend, but Southern Utah might just have too much of a foundation, and it being a home game, that might flip it as well. Kind of like San Diego. I don't necessarily think it's the better team, but I think home venue plus early in the season, it lends itself to be a little bit more peripherals to Southern Utah.
Yeah, I think you're ultimately going to be right here, Ben. And the more I've really dug into Idaho State, the lower I am on them. But I just want to believe, and I probably should have picked them as an option for most disappointing this year because they are running the absolute gauntlet um, when it comes to schedule. But I'm gonna go with the Bengals because why not? What do we gotta disagree on a couple, and this one's one that I'm pretty 50-50 on, and early on I want to believe, so hopefully they can back up my preconceived notion.
I mean,
Next we
the
have
biggest orange kitty I think I believe in is this one, so I'll let Oliver root for Idaho State for me.
then we have one that we can probably not spend much time on. I have Arizona State beating NAU. I don't think it's going to be particularly interesting. NAU's a good team, but so is Arizona State. If Arizona State was coming off the season they had last year or 2 years ago and were like 3-9 and not coming off a playoff berth, I could see it being possibly interesting, but I think they're going to have the confidence rolling and NAU won't stand too much of a chance.
Agreed. I think that the firepower that's still at Arizona State is scary, even if it's a Scataboo less team. Not worried about that one. Kind of like how I'm not worried about the next one as well. I know it's a rivalry game. Idaho going to Pullman, Washington, but it's one of those. It's like I'm glad you're getting a paycheck. Also, shout out literally the most local I think you can get at 8 miles, 13 miles, something like
Yeah,
that.
like barely. The state line's the only thing differentiating these two cities.
It's kind of like us playing CSU, CU, or Wyoming. I don't know why we don't play Air Force, but like legitimately, like it's kind of a
It's
no-brainer
closer
to set
than
up this
any
every
of
couple
those
of years,
games.
right? Like it's just stupid not to, even if you're gonna lose it. Like the one in 100 years that you do win it, like that's gonna be the biggest thing ever.
Yeah, I think it is a little extra interesting that Jimmy Rogers and half of South Dakota State's heading to Wazoo. But I'm pretty low on Idaho. Not low, but if Eck was the coach and this was last year, 2 years ago, I would give them a legitimate chance. But I'm pretty set that Washington State will win this one. Another preview of a Big Sky matchup for a few years to come, at least. UC Davis heading to Utah Tech. The Aggies. We'll see what happens in this matchup against Mercer later here today. But what do you think of this one? Of the Aggies going to previously Dixie State, which I will mention every time I get a chance.
I feel like the Trailblazers are in for a bummer of an opener. I don't see how UC Davis doesn't win this by 17 plus. It'll be interesting since it's a Big Sky preview for the coming years, but not too worried about that one. More so worried about can our friends, our very rich friends, the color of your hat friends, can Sacramento State go to Brookings, South Dakota and make a difference?
Yeah, this one, like I was saying earlier, Big Sky team involved in the most interesting matchup. And since we didn't just agree on everything, I don't know if we'll agree on this one, but we're gonna make this one worth two. Our first matchup of the week in the pick'em. So, Ben, I think I have a pretty good idea where you're going with this one, and I just don't know if I want to disagree with you or not.
You know, South Dakota State has lost a lot. You can say the Jimmy Rogers train and the, Excel spreadsheet of everything that went with him or ran away because of him. I get it, but like it's kind of one of those proven to be unproven. So like literally, it's a proven fact that South Dakota State is a top four, top five team at worst for most voters in the FCS poll. So I'm not sold on Sacramento State and all of their fancy cars that they bought and brought in. I don't know the imports are really going to be able to, just run over the South Dakota State, faithful.
Yeah, I wish this one didn't come so early in the year because I do think Sac State will have a bit of time to kind of get things in order. But again, if you've been listening at all through the offseason, I'm a big Brennan Marion guy. I'm a big go-go believer. I'm not sold on Sac State basketball, so I'm not sold on the whole direction of what they're doing, but I am sold as fuck on the football team. So you know what? I might as well go out there on a limb this first week. Let's take Sac State. I think there are a bunch of question marks on both teams. Admittedly, way more on Sacramento State. I why not? Let's have a little fun here early on. And Ben, if you don't have anything in response to that, I imagine I'll let you go. I assume you and the family are heading over to Crave Hot Dogs and Barbecue before you head off to where you're going. Get a couple dogs, get maybe a few sliders in the belly before you start your Saturday.
Yeah, it might not be Tuesday where it's a $5 meal deal, but definitely hit up the friends at Crave Barbecue. Love their stuff. Looking forward to all the Bears fans. If you listen to our podcast and like our podcast and subscribe and do all those great things, make sure you're also doing the greatest thing of all of going to Crave Barbecue.
Yes, you're right, Ben. That maybe I need to find a way to factor that into the little outro here, because as always, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, review, comment. Go to Crave Hot Dogs and Barbecue and tell them Chris and Ben sent you. The guy at the front desk won't know who we are, but he may say something to Heath and Todd. So, and if you don't like what we're doing, as always, Ben Schleiger's DMs are always open on Twitter at Bear Claw Media. He's got them dukes up. He's ready for a fight. I think he's undefeated so far in the DMs. At least that's how he tells it to me. So have a good one.